Coco Gauff just destroyed Aryna Sabalenka at the French Open and made history doing it. Down a set against the world number 1, Gauff flipped the entire match and walked away with her second Grand Slam title. The stats from this match are absolutely brutal for Sabalenka, and the records Gauff broke put her in territory reserved for tennis royalty. She's now the first American to win at Roland Garros since Serena Williams, and she did it by making Sabalenka completely fall apart on the biggest stage. Here's my question. Is Coco Gauff officially the future of women's tennis? Or is she already the present? Let me know in the comments. Let's talk about what just happened at Roland Garros, because this match was an absolute masterclass in mental toughness and tactical execution. Coco Gauff walked onto court Philippe Chatrier as the underdog against world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka, and she walked off as a 2-time Grand Slam champion. The scoreline reads 6-7, 5, 6-2, 6-4. But those numbers don't capture the drama, the momentum swings, or the complete psychological breakdown that Sabalenka experienced over 2 hours and 38 minutes. Sabalenka came out firing. She raced to a 4-1 lead in the first set, looking every bit the dominant world number 1 who was supposed to add another major trophy to her collection. Her power game was clicking, her serves were landing, and Gauff looked like she might get blown off the court before the crowd even settled into their seats. This was supposed to be Sabalenka's coronation at Roland Garros, her chance to prove she can win on clay at the highest level. But here's where things got interesting. Despite building that commanding lead, Sabalenka couldn't close. The wind picked up, her emotions started fluctuating, and suddenly, that 4-1 advantage evaporated. Gauff fought back, extending rallies, making Sabalenka hit one more ball than she wanted to. The first set went to a tiebreak, and Gauff grabbed a 5-3 lead. She was 2 points from stealing a set she had no business winning based on how it started. Sabalenka showed her class in that moment, winning 4 consecutive points to close out the tiebreak with a drop shot and drop volley combination. World number 1 stuff. Championship pedigree. Except that effort seemed to drain everything she had left. What happened next was one of the most dramatic collapses we've seen in a Grand Slam final in years. The second set wasn't competitive. It was a demolition. Gauff completely flipped the script, and Sabalenka looked like a different player. The power that had been so dominant early suddenly produced errors instead of winners. The emotions that had been channeled into intensity became visible anguish after every missed shot. Gauff cruised through 6-2, and the match that was supposed to be Sabalenka's coronation turned into her nightmare. Now let's talk about the stat that defines this entire match, because it's absolutely brutal. Sabalenka committed 73 unforced errors. 73. Gauff made 30. That's not a slight difference in execution. That's a chasm. That's the difference between a player in control and a player whose game completely abandoned her when she needed it most. You cannot win tennis matches at any level with that kind of error count, let alone a Grand Slam final against a player as talented as Coco Gauff. The third set showed why Gauff is a multiple Grand Slam champion at just 21 years old. She broke early for a 3-1 lead, and when Sabalenka somehow found enough composure to level at 3-3, Gauff didn't panic. She broke again immediately, then held her nerve to close out the match. That's champion mentality. That's the difference between players who win majors and players who let them slip away.
Gauff.
When Gauff hit that final winner, she fell to her knees on the clay of court Philippe Chatrier. The crowd rose to give her a standing ovation. Her parents rushed to embrace her, with her father literally sprinting down the stairs to share the moment. This wasn't just a tennis match. This was a 21-year-old cementing her place among the elite of her sport on one of tennis's most historic stages. The records Gauff broke with this victory are significant. She's the first American woman to win the French Open since Serena Williams claimed the title in 2015. Think about that. A decade without an American champion at Roland Garros, and Gauff ended that drought in spectacular fashion. She's also the youngest American champion at Roland Garros since Serena Williams in 2002. Every comparison to Williams is warranted because Gauff is following a similar trajectory of dominance. This victory puts Gauff in truly elite company. She's now a multiple Grand Slam champion before her 22nd birthday. How many players can say that? The list is extremely short, and it includes names that define tennis history. Gauff isn't just competing at the highest level anymore. She's winning at the highest level, consistently, against the best players in the world. The head-to-head against Sabalenka now stands at 6-5 in Gauff's favor. But that number undersells how significant these recent victories have been. Gauff beat Sabalenka to win the 2023 US Open. Now she's beaten her again to win the 2025 French Open. In the matches that matter most, on the biggest stages, Gauff has found a way to come out on top. That's not coincidence. That's a pattern that should worry Sabalenka and encourage everyone who believes Gauff is the future of women's tennis. Let's talk about what Gauff did tactically because her game has evolved dramatically since her first French Open final appearance. 3 years ago, she lost to Iga Świątek in that final. The experience was painful, but clearly she learned from it. Her forehand, once considered a liability that opponents could target, held firm throughout this match. She hit with heavy topspin that pushed Sabalenka out of her comfort zone, turning what used to be a weakness into a weapon. Her defensive game was absolutely suffocating. Gauff chased down everything Sabalenka threw at her. Balls that would be winners against most players came back with interest. She extended rallies, made Sabalenka uncomfortable, and forced the world number one to go for more and more to finish points. That pressure led directly to those 73 unforced errors. Sabalenka felt like she had to crush every ball, because anything less kept coming back. Eventually, the misses piled up. But Gauff wasn't content to just defend. As the match progressed, she shifted from pure defense to controlled aggression. She started targeting Sabalenka's second serve, stepping in and taking time away. Her backhand became a weapon, finding angles that opened up the court. This tactical maturity is what separates Grand Slam champions from talented players who never quite reach the top. Gauff reads matches, adjusts, and executes changes under pressure. The mental contrast between these two players was stark. Sabalenka wore every emotion on her face throughout the match. Visible anguish after errors, dramatic celebrations after winners, constant fluctuation between despair and elation. That emotional roller coaster drained her energy and disrupted her rhythm. Meanwhile, Gauff maintained remarkable composure. Even when points went against her, she showed minimal reaction. She stayed positive, stayed focused, and never gave Sabalenka the satisfaction of seeing frustration. In her victory speech, Gauff was honest about her mindset during the match. She said she didn't think she could do it. Coming back from that first set deficit against the world number one in a Grand Slam final, most players would have doubted themselves. But she credited the crowd for helping her through those moments, for giving her energy when her own tank felt empty. That humility, combined with her obvious talent, makes Gauff incredibly likable as a champion. She thanked her team and her parents, saying they're the reason she competes, and they inspire her more than anything. Watching her father sprint down those stairs to embrace her was one of those pure sports moments that transcends competition. This is a family that has invested everything into Coco's tennis journey, and watching that investment pay off with a second Grand Slam title must have been overwhelming. Meanwhile, Sabalenka's post-match interview was painful to watch. She struggled with her emotions, apologized to her team for what she called a terrible final, and vowed to come back stronger. Her exact words were, "This will hurt so much," and you could see she meant every syllable. Sabalenka is a fierce competitor who holds herself to incredibly high standards, and falling apart in a Grand Slam final clearly devastated her. The rivalry between these two is becoming one of the most compelling in women's tennis. They've now played 11 times, with Gauff holding a 6-5 advantage. But more importantly, Gauff has won the two biggest matches they've played, both Grand Slam finals. Sabalenka may be the world number one, but when these two meet on the biggest stages, Gauff finds a way to win. That dynamic will shape women's tennis for years to come. This victory cements Gauff's position as world number two, right behind Sabalenka in the rankings. But rankings don't capture what we saw at Roland Garros. Rankings don't show mental toughness, tactical evolution, or the ability to raise your level when everything is on the line. Gauff has all of those qualities, and she's just 21 years old with her entire prime still ahead of her. The American success in women's tennis continues with Gauff leading the charge. For years, people wondered who would carry the torch after Serena and Venus Williams. The answer is increasingly clear. Coco Gauff has the talent, the mentality, and now the resume to be considered the standard bearer for American women's tennis. 2 Grand Slam titles by 21, with many more opportunities ahead. 3 years ago, Gauff lost her first French Open final to Iga Świątek. That defeat could have broken her confidence on clay, could have created mental blocks about performing at Roland Garros. Instead, she used it as fuel. She developed her game, strengthened her weaknesses, and came back to win the title. That's the trajectory of a champion, someone who learns from setbacks rather than being defined by them. The future of women's tennis looks incredibly bright with players like Gauff at the top. She's marketable, likable, and most importantly, she wins on the biggest stages. Sponsors love her, fans love her, and opponents are learning to fear her because she just keeps getting better. What makes this victory particularly impressive is the manner in which it was achieved. Gauff didn't beat a struggling Sabalenka. She beat a Sabalenka who started the match brilliantly, who took the first set, who should have had all the momentum. Gauff had to completely turn the match around, and she did it through superior mental fortitude and tactical adjustments. That's not luck. That's championship-level tennis. The 73 unforced errors from Sabalenka will be talked about for a long time. That number is shocking for any match, let alone a Grand Slam final. But we shouldn't just credit Sabalenka's collapse. Gauff created the conditions that led to those errors. Her defense forced Sabalenka to overhit. Her composure created pressure that Sabalenka couldn't handle. Her tactical adjustments exploited every weakness in Sabalenka's game. The errors were a symptom of Gauff's excellence as much as Sabalenka's struggles. Court Philippe Chatrier has seen countless historic moments in tennis history. The greatest players in the world have competed and won on that famous red clay. Coco Gauff's name now belongs alongside them. At 21, she's already written herself into Roland Garros history as a champion, and given her trajectory, this probably won't be her last title in Paris. Gauff just proved she's not waiting her turn anymore. She took down the world #1 in a Grand Slam final for the second time, broke records that connect her to Serena Williams, and showed mental toughness that most players never develop. At 21, she's already a multiple major champion with her best tennis still ahead. If this breakdown showed you why Coco Gauff is becoming unstoppable, smash that like button and subscribe. We're covering every step of her journey to the top, and you don't want to miss what comes next.